The following podcast contains spoilers and words like and gosh. Mate, did we watch a thing this week?
Yeah, we did. Hello, thanks for joining us at We Watched a Thing. Billy, thank you for joining me.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. I mean, the traffic here was terrible, but I finally got to WWATHQ.
Yeah?
And here we are.
Good place to be.
Great place to be. It's always great to be with you, buddy.
Gosh, I'm touched.
Now you don't know what to say. You're speechless.
I am.
You shouldn't have done that at the start of an episode. We're supposed to talk. That's the whole point.
And here I am, stunned and poorly.
What are we talking about this week?
This week, we are, at the behest of one of our patrons,
Yep.
We're going to be talking about an 80s cult classic, I think it's fair to call it. That is Terry Gilliam's Brazil.
That's right. It was demanded that we not watch the US edited Love Conquers All version. We're watching the director's cut. Now, did I tell you the story about this request?
I don't know that you did.
I might not have.
Because as far as I'm concerned, the stories of requests tend to be, we get emailed saying, hey, I'm due a request, watch this.
Yeah. Well, this one came to us from great listener of the show, David Powell, who also made us watch what is, I think, the best film I've seen this year, Night of the Hunter. We didn't actually have to watch Chinatown, mate. I messed that up. I read the emails wrong, and I thought he requested Chinatown. What he actually requested back then was Brazil. So I had to reach out and say, really sorry, mate. I messed up. We will do Brazil, though. So here we go, though.
You are just not going to make it as a secretary.
Oh, I'm not the secretary. If anything, you're the secretary, mate.
Lies.
Oh, come on. Actually, I feel like our workload is about equal.
Yeah, well, that's the idea.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's true. We are a great team. All right. Shall we crack into Brazil then? Because I don't know how long we've been recording, but so far we barely mentioned Brazil. Brazil is a 1985 dark dystopian science fiction film directed by Terry Gilliam and written by Gilliam, Charles McKeown, and Tom Stoppard. The film stars Jonathan Pryce and features Robert De Niro, Kim Greist, Michael Palin, Katherine Helmond, Bob Hoskins, and Ian Holm. And what is it about, Toph?
Oh, what a cast. It's about what many great sci-fis are, and the struggle of the individual against the system.
Oh, yes. Yes, it is.
A feeling that I'm sure you're familiar with, you little rebel you.
Oh, yeah, I really don't like authority, actually. But I'm in this weird position where I'm simultaneously scared of and heavily disrespect authority. So I don't like them, but I'm not going to do anything about it. So you had seen this movie, because when we first spoke about this, you said that you didn't like it. You said this was one of the films that you always expected to like a lot more than you actually did once you watched it.
Right. If I said I didn't like it, I was overstating it. But so that second bit is certainly true, because I went into Brazil the first time I saw it thinking there's just no way that I don't absolutely love this film. Like, no way. No way known to God. And then I was like, okay, yeah, that was a movie I watched. That was the edit that we did not watch this time.
Right, it was the edit. So, did you appreciate it a lot more this time?
I did like it more this time. It's possible that some of that is because I was going in without the baggage of, all right, this is going to be the greatest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And also probably because, yes, David is quite right, this is a better film.
Yes. So this is the first time I've seen it, and I've only seen this director's cut. This is a long movie. This is clocking in at about 2 hours 40. The studio release version, 90 minutes. That is a huge cut down from this film.
That's massive.
Apparently, Gilliam was furious because he didn't know the studio was editing at the same time he was editing. It wasn't even like they saw his cut and then did this. They clearly, like, from the moment they read the script, were like, no, we'll fix that.
That's a dirty move.
Yes. So he actually, in 1985, when the film was released, took out a full-page ad in the newspaper that just said, Dear studios, when will you release my film Brazil?
Release the Snyder Cut.
That's a crazy story. Like, talk about studio interference. That's next level, to actually be simultaneously editing with your own crew while the director is still working on the movie.
If you went into this film completely blind, when you're in the opening moments of this film and, you know, that neon Brazil title comes up and the music that accompanies it, it would be tough to gauge what film you are in for at that point in time. It's
true. And even the title, like, how often has that happened where a film has been named after a song just because it's kind of featured in the film? Like, the title Brazil really has very little to do with the film itself. So even that doesn't give a lot away, because the film is not set in Brazil, people.
Jonathan Pryce. Famously English.
Yes. Yes. I believe
actually, I think I could be getting that wrong. Jonathan Pryce might be Welsh.
Oh, Welsh, British. What's the difference?
Well, we can say we'll just go with British.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm convinced now he's Welsh.
You should have done your research. Well, let me tell you, I really, 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 really enjoyed this film. I liked it a lot. I knew nothing about it going in. I did not know... I didn't even know it was a sci-fi. I didn't know anything about it at all. But it's a really interesting blend. It's like Office Space meets 1984 meets Children of Men meets a Monty Python film meets WALL-E.
Yeah,
like,
that's bang on.
It's like all those things kind of mixed together. It's got this genius humor, the satire around, especially if you've ever worked in an office or had anything to do with government, that kind of stuff is just bang on. But I found the sci-fi elements and the action and everything was really, really top-notch as well.
Yeah, the world building that it does, particularly in the early stages, and maybe even most particularly in The Office,
yes,
is some really high level shit.
It really is.
The signs on the wall that, like, there's one, for instance, that plays on the Loose Lips Sinks Ships sign, and there's a sign in the background right behind someone that says loose talk is noose talk.
Yes.
And just all these things that it's like, okay, yes, it's kind of our world, but also it has a way of telling you how people are kind of forced to live in this society without being that explicit about it or even showing you that much.
Yeah. Absolutely. And the production design itself is so smart and so great. The ducts everywhere. It's a great way. You know, you look at some sci-fi films that were made back then, 70s and 80s, and there are some really, really good ones. Like, even take Alien, for example, which does it really well, but it's still almost impossible not to watch that movie and go, well, this was made in the 70s. This is the 70s. It's not the future. Whereas what this film does really clever is, because it's this dystopian universe where technology is, quite frankly, rubbish, it doesn't... I mean, obviously the film...
And it actually even dates itself at the beginning as still being in the 20th century.
Well, that's right.
So it doesn't do that massive leap forward, which then can make a film look silly when you get up to the actual time and you're like, yeah, okay, you were a bit off.
Yeah. But, like, you know, because it is supposed to be, you know, this society is overly reliant on these machines that are crap. You know, they've got ducts everywhere, and it doesn't feel so out of place when you see that they're using these old crap operating systems and stuff. It all feels quite authentic somehow. So it's a really smart piece of production design.
Yeah, I actually looked up whether this got an Oscar nomination for production design. It did, but it lost out to Out of Africa.
Right.
Which, that's not dating very well, is it?
No, that's not dating well at all.
The art direction on this film, the set design is, I mean, it's elite stuff.
Absolutely it is. And like you say, the world building, we spoke about, you know, early scenes in Children of Men when we discussed that film. And it really, really, I can see how that has been inspired by this, because, as you say, it's those little touches in the background. It's the way that people interact in those early scenes. You really get a sense of this place pretty early on.
And this does something that Children of Men would then do in some ways a very similar way, in some ways a very different way, where the ways that those two films portray the commonplace, everyday nature of terrorism in this setting
Yes.
In Children of Men, it's a big realistic explosion early on in the film. In this movie, it's a really quite comedic scene.
Yes, it's
in a
much more
restaurant
Monty
where
Python-esque.
It's a really Python scene, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, where they're just kind of ignoring it and, yeah.
And it's just like, it's farcical where they're bringing out the dividers and kind of sweeping away bodies, basically.
Yes.
So that the posh people don't have to see this side of life.
There's something about that even though it's handled comedically, even that gets across the level of grimness that is built in this universe. Like, you're watching that, and even though you're kind of laughing, in some ways you're laughing at the absurdity of it. Like, this is horrendous.
Pretty banging cast. I imagine it was quite a coup to get De Niro to just jump on in a supporting role.
Yeah.
In the mid-'80s. Like, we're talking, I suppose if you're looking at the timeline of De Niro, you'd probably say this is, like, we're just past absolute peak De Niro, but, you know, Raging Bull is not far in the rear vision mirror, really.
No, that's right. I think this is definitely up there with my favourite De Niro supporting roles. He's so great in this film, and it's such a small role, but so pivotal as well at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, right from yes, he is. It is integral to the way that the rocks start rolling downhill in the film, if you will, with the Buttle Tuttle mix-up. It is from the off. It is kind of all to do with De Niro. Yet he just bobs up occasionally.
Yeah, and when he first rocks up as this kind of hero to fix his heating system, I think that's a really great scene where I think him and Jonathan Pryce have really, really great screen chemistry together.
Elsewhere in the cast, Kim Greist. Geez, that's a shame it's not played by Carrie Fisher, because she's quite bad. I was watching it the other day and I was like, okay, she's pretty bad. Who, in the mid-'80s, who do I wish this was? And a minute later it was like, how freaking great would Carrie Fisher be?
She actually even looks a little bit like Carrie Fisher, Kim Greist. You can see it. She's American, so it's not like you're inserting another American in the cast for no reason. She's already American.
Yep, which frankly is weird.
It is strange that it's never explained. For some reason, I don't mind it with De Niro, but it is strange given that just the setting that she's supposed to be living in, it feels a little bit like, well, why is this woman here?
Yeah, but I think the energy that I think they want us getting from that character, which I don't get from her, unfortunately, it's total early Carrie Fisher energy.
Yeah.
I think. So that's a bit of casting that I think lets the film down, quite frankly.
I think, for me personally, this film is really where Gilliam started to hit his stride as a screenwriter. I think prior to this, you know, you look at a couple of weeks ago, we watched Time Bandits, which was his film before this. In fact, he considers this the second in a kind of spiritual trilogy along with that film. And I think that this is so leaps and bounds ahead of that. Like you say, a lot of the things that are going on here are very, very high level. Like, thematically, there is so much to chew on here. There's things that I'm sure I'm missing. There are things that are in your face. There are, like, it just has a lot going on from a writing perspective. I feel like he was still starting to develop his style as a director. I think that continued to grow. You look at things like 12 Monkeys, but to me, this screenwriting is almost perfection. It's very well written.
I think the leap forward in direction is massive.
Right.
Between Time Bandits and this. And I'm probably thinking most specifically here of the scenes in the various offices.
Yeah.
The use of the moving camera in there with the wide lens it's quite frankly some pretty iconic shit.
It really is, yeah.
And there's a bunch in there that I don't know if it was a direct inspiration, but if you look at early 90s to mid-90s, probably Roger Deakins, his work with the Coens at the time.
Yeah.
No idea if this is true, but it wouldn't shock me if this was kind of the blueprint for some of that stuff.
Yeah, yep, I could see that.
So the world, a lot of the characters absolutely love. The world building I absolutely love. Thinking of scenes of like very early scene where with the initial Buttle Tuttle mix up where someone is taken away by the authorities, and and they come in and do a great thing, which is it now seems incredibly ahead of its time, I think, in retrospect, where authority figures say the exact opposite of what they mean. Because in that scene, of course, they bust into this home through the ceiling, no less, tie a guy up and say he's been invited to assist with inquiries.
Yes.
Which, anytime you see a government doing something against the interests of a lot of its people, you can kind of bank on that they're going to call it the exact opposite of what it is.
Yes.
And yeah, here's this film 35 years ago doing it just brilliantly. And then, like, that goes to the signage, more of the signage in this film of the, don't suspect a friend, report them.
Yes. Yep.
It's so good. It's just the world building in the film is next level shit. I love it. Then, unfortunately, at some point in this film, it has to actually tell a story. And that's where, for me, it is not nearly as good.
Really? Interesting.
I think it's at its best when it's painting a picture. When it then is like, all right, we're going to have to do something with this character. For me, not nearly as strong.
Interesting. See, I actually quite enjoy the storytelling in the film. And I feel like the world building is beautiful because it does more than just support the story. It builds this world that you feel like you could live in. Like, I definitely feel like you could see thousands of other stories coming out of this universe. But I do think that it also supports the story that we get given. And I really like the story arc and the development of our hero.
While I probably don't support the edit that was made of the film, I do think this film is fat. Well, watching it, I was like, yeah, okay, this is fat through the middle. And then in another 20 minutes or so, I was like, yeah, okay, it's now getting fat into the third act. I do think the film is too long.
Yeah, so there is actually a third version. So we watched the director's cut actually in the end. Sorry, David, we didn't watch the international cut. The international cut is actually 10 minutes shorter than this. So, yeah, maybe that addresses some of those things you're talking about, but it sounds like that would probably still be too long.
Yeah, I think there's just a lack of momentum from about 45 minutes. Yeah, let's call it about 45 minutes in. I think from then on, it does suffer from a lack of momentum. Like, there's a car chase in the film, which is kind of dull for me for a bunch of that section of the film. And we're talking about a fair chunk of the film here.
Yeah,
I think it needs to just get going.
Right. I found that the film actually did a really good job of keeping the tension. I was gripped the entire time. Like, these days for me, I don't know if it's like stress around lockdown and stuff, but in the last couple of months, I've found it very hard to watch a film without pulling my phone out at least once or twice. Just, have a quick Google of something. This film, I was engaged the entire time. This is one of the first times in ages that I've actually just sat and watched a film from beginning to end and loved the whole experience. It was really, really nice for me to feel that level of engagement. Love
the tease of the happy end, which, as you're watching it, you're like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, what's this? Like, surely not. Well, surely not, Terry. And then of course, surely not.
Yeah, even that is so surreal, though.
Yes.
Like, obviously, the big reveal is extremely grim, but even his kind of happy ending still has these strange levels of darkness to them. Like, he ends up at the funeral of the woman who's been having all these complications, and then her complications got complications. And then he sees his mother, and she's had so much surgery that she looks like Kim Greist. And there's all this very strange, surreal stuff going on that that's not really going to be how it ends. But then it really hits you with a gut punch when you cut back to the quote-unquote torture chamber.
Yeah.
Which
is just one of the all-time great sets.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really, that kind of spherical... It almost reminded me a little bit of the ending of Empire Strikes Back, that set.
It's funny, because what it reminded me of is the bit they fly into the inside bit of the Death Star in Return of the Jedi, where Wedge blows the tower and Lando blows that thing.
Yeah, right. So we both got Star Wars vibes.
Probably, it says more about us than the film, but...
Yeah. But yeah, when it cuts back to that and he's clearly been like lobotomized and he's just humming Brazil to himself kind of like, because this is the thing about him is he's always been a daydreamer. Like, much like myself, he's not happy in his office job. He's in his own head imagining he has wings. So then at the end when he's kind of locked in that world, he's actually almost happy, I guess. It's really grim and like in some ways uplifting at the same time, for me at least.
Yeah, he's kind of better off.
Absolutely. I mean, wouldn't you be better off kind of in your own world than living in this world that we've seen built for us in the last couple of hours? Yeah.
Like Joey Pants in The Matrix. He's plugging back in.
Yeah. Yeah. No, so I really, really loved that ending and kind of thematically what was happening there. Let me ask you a question. Is this a Christmas movie?
Tell you what, Jonathan Pryce's experience in this film are about as painful as Christmas, so probably.
I don't think you can say that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and this isn't. It's set at Christmas time.
I think you can.
There's a lot of gift givings.
No, not a Christmas film.
It starts off with
learn to tell the difference.
It starts off with sitting around a Christmas tree and telling a good old Christmas tale.
It does.
This is 100% a Christmas film.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it December 22nd. I'm going to send you a picture just to remind you just how Christmassy it is.
That will have very little effect on my day, but you go nuts.
Yeah, so I absolutely adored this film. I think this is almost as close to a perfect film as you can get. I'm giving this a 9 out of 10.
I like this film. This is one of those movies where the things I liked about the film, I love.
Yeah.
But then, unfortunately, there's a ... to it. And when this film is just living in the details, like the little things, like the signs we've talked about, like Michael Palin's character adopting Barbara as his wife's name because
that was gold.
Because it's just better to go along with the authority figure, which is just priceless stuff.
I know, and when he sees him like 3 days later and he's still calling her Barbara, he's like, "You're still calling her Barbara?" He's like, "What? Don't you like it?"
Yeah, it's a perfectly good name.
Yeah.
It's great stuff. But for me, it is fat. It needs an edit for me. Still, probably somewhere between the versions. But I do like it. 7 out of 10.
All right. What are we getting to next week, my friend?
Next week, continuing on the patron train, we will be watching a Tarantino film. So,
yes.
Surely you've seen it before, Billy.
Look, I reckon I've seen half of his filmography. So, this one I haven't. But after this, I will have seen more than half. I think there's only 3 I haven't seen.
Okay.
So
he's made 9, and haven't you only seen 3?
No, I've seen more than 3.
Okay, let's do the count.
Okay, I've seen Reservoir
Dogs.
I've seen Pulp Fiction.
Once Upon a Time.
Yes, Once Upon a Time. I've seen True Romance, which are we counting that? Oh,
no.
Okay. All right. I haven't seen Hateful Eight. I haven't seen Django. I haven't seen
Kill Bill. Haven't seen Bastards.
Yeah, and that's it though. That's it. So there you go. I'm right. I've seen half because I've seen 4 because I have seen
4
Death Proof.
Where did you go to school?
Well, yeah, okay, but 4.5 is half of 9. So
yes, it is.
So after seeing Jackie Brown, I will have seen more than half. I was correct in my initial statement.
Wait, won't you be on 4 after Jackie Brown?
No, because I've seen Death Proof.
Oh, okay.
So after Jackie Brown, I will have seen 5.
You will have seen more than half, yeah.
Yes. So I am correct in my initial statement. Thank you for your apology.
I apologise for nothing. You're an animal who hasn't seen Inglourious Bastards.
I'm looking forward to it, though, because you know that I want to catch up on his filmography. What I've seen, I've, for the most part, enjoyed. It's just, for me, it's a time factor. The films I haven't seen came out after I had kids.
The mid-90s.
No, the films I haven't seen came out after I had kids. You try squeeze in 3 hours for...
I'm sorry. When Jackie Brown came out, you were 7 years old, were you not?
Okay. So Jackie Brown is an exception.
That's pre-kids, mate.
Jackie Brown is an exception, mate. Did you hear that?
Hateful Eight? Okay, Kill Bill came out, you didn't have kids. Inglourious Bastards came out, you didn't have kids. Django came out, you didn't have kids.
Whoa, I might have, no, wait. No, I didn't have kids. Yeah.
You were just an enthusiast film fan who just didn't see Tarantino films.
I lead a very busy life, my friend.
Yeah, well, what with rewatching Sphere.
Yeah, well, that's a great movie. Did you hear that Hateful Eight has just dropped on Netflix? I don't know if it has here in Australia, but in the States, they've dropped it as a 4-hour, 4-part miniseries.
Right. I have seen it pop up on Netflix, but being not a great fan of that film, I haven't hit play on it.
Apparently, watching it as a miniseries with 4-hour-long parts is actually a lot better. So
Yeah, okay.
I might check it out that way.
Interesting.
But anyway, so next week, Jackie Brown. Then we've got some more patron requests coming up. And shall we tell the people now what we're doing after that?
Sure.
All right. After that,
We're going on holidays.
Yeah, yes, we are.
Screw you all.
Not from your ears. You'll still hear us because once again, we have done a marathon. We have watched all 12 movies in the Alien/Predator franchise. That's right, all 12. So that's going to cover 6 weeks, 2 movies per week will be coming to your ear holes, and I think you'll like it. You'll like it.
That's happening from September.
Yes, from September onwards. So it'll be September and a little bit of October. Have we come up with a name for that yet, buddy?
There's one I like. I don't know if I've sold you on it yet, but we'll keep kicking that round.
Okay. I really, really like that name. I like it a lot. All right. Okay, cool. In the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, you can do that at wewatchedathing.com or wewatchedathing@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all under the handle @wewatchedathing. If you want to help support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/wewatchedathing, and we will catch you next week.
Us out.